All right, so Mango back with another podcast, and we have our co-host Gummy, and we have the boy today, Pio, the owner of Nifty NFT, and has the #1 NFT morning show on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing?
Amazing.
Dude, amazing.
Super excited about your NFT drop too. You guys have the protocol, is it called?
The original drop's the Portal.
But
there's a lot to be excited about now. We have a Solana drop coming out from our guy Easy Eats Bodega.
Wait, why'd you guys choose Solana instead of, Ethereum?
So we're also doing an Ethereum one.
Okay.
We're really lucky that a year ago when we started making content pretty early on, early on, Easy Eats Bodega, he's a big figure in Solana. He's a rising star on Solana. He was making content right there with us. Yeah. And in I guess it was April or May, he formally came on as a partner in the business, and this is going to be his Solana drop. So we're really lucky that we have like an absolute expert, We're not forcing it on Solana. This is like a pure organic drop.
Do you like Solana personally? Do you use it a lot?
I believe in it. I don't personally use it a lot, but I believe in it.
He said, I believe in it.
When you say you believe in it, what do you believe in?
Because after the Solana, there's a lot of stuff going on with Solana.
Right.
So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I believe that more people are being onboarded to trading Solana NFTs than are trading Ethereum NFTs. And I think that capital is flowing to Solana NFTs at a little bit more of a faster pace. And I think that there's a lot of stuff that's happening with Solana that makes me feel like it's not going anywhere, and that maybe more and more NFT stuff is going to get built on Solana versus Ethereum.
Yeah. That's interesting, because the initial draw for Solana was that it was cheaper. But now with the merge, the price just dropped. So
it's still not zero though, like Solana.
I bought Solana at maybe like 97, and what is it at 30?
It's down bad from there.
It's down bad. I'm down bad right now.
But all the assets, whatever Ethereum was at when Solana was 97, it's down bad from there too. Yeah. So it's the way the cycles go. But I mean, from a technology perspective, when you look at Solana, I think that there's a lot to be excited about. And I think that, for example, crypto gaming, NFT gaming on Solana is way more, way further along than on Ethereum. And when you look at the two of them, the idea that somebody would try to build on Ethereum layer 1 for games wouldn't make sense. I mean, me and Nick's co-founder, the third co-founder of the Nifty, Kicks is what he's going by now. He's done a lot of rebrands. He's the CEO of a crypto game called Crypto Raiders, and they didn't build, they started on Ethereum, but very quickly went to layer 2. They went to Polygon. And if you ask him, even though he's incentivized to tell you Polygon's where it's at, he'll tell you Solana's where it's at. So
interesting.
So before we get into talking about your show, I want to know more about you personally, because you weren't in Web3 before 2020. It's
Correct.
Only been 2 years, almost 2.5 years.
Yep.
Over 2.5 years.
2.5 on the nose, probably.
Yeah. So tell me about what you did before NFTs, crypto. What were you doing? What were you dabbling into? You were doing production.
Exactly. So I have a creative background from before. My early to mid 20s was spent as a music video director. I did it in Boston, where I grew up, and then New York, and then I moved out to LA to do it. After
East Coast.
West Coast,
I was born in Cape Cod. He was born in Boston. East Coast brothers.
That's right. Everett, Massachusetts, North Shore, Boston.
Let's go.
And so anyway, I was out in LA, and music industry in LA, really hard to make a living, right? Especially the musicians in LA are having a hard time making a living. So if you're someone that's doing the videos for the musicians, that's another layer down. Yeah. It's really hard, right? So I ended up having to get a real job. I got what was effectively a sales job, right? It was in recruiting, because I wanted to make sure whatever job I got, it was something that would help with filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And I figured talking to people, persuading people, that was something that would help directing an actor or talking to a producer, inspiring someone to give you money for a film. So I thought that it would be a good skill set to have. And, I learned really great skills there. But after maybe a year and a half, I was I gotta I gotta get out of this. And it took a really long time. And really the big kind of turning point was when COVID hit. I said, I'm not going to be watching Netflix. I'm not going to be like playing video games or something like that. I'm going to like learn something that could change my life. And that was when I found out about Bitcoin, March 2020. I mean, I knew about Bitcoin, but that's when I started like learning about it, and I started buying it. And by the end of that year, I found out what NFTs were. By the beginning of the next year, I was buying NFTs, and I started making content on NFTs almost immediately after I started buying them. And you know, the rest is history.
How do you make sure like the content that you're creating is impactful?
Yeah, I think you have to kind of separate the content side versus whatever the substance is, because we could go and talk to like a brain surgeon, right? And this guy knows how to operate on your brain and he knows everything about brain surgery. It doesn't mean that he's going to have like a hit show on brain surgery, right? He might just not be good at content, right? So you have to sort of respect both. You have to respect the content side and you have to respect whatever the material that you're discussing is. And so, for example, I host a morning show on trading NFTs, but I am not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to trading markets on that show at all. If anything, I'm the least knowledgeable person.
Nick was telling me how he's a mastermind on like trading crypto.
He basically is like.
Are you good at?
Not at all.
Crypto
Like
trading?
Nick's got like 22 years experience. He's been doing it since he was like
16.
a teenager.
16.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, he's also like humble about it. I mean, he's 40. He started when he was in high school trading markets. So like, I'm sure he doesn't give himself that credit, but that's like a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Easy, the guy that is on our team for Solana, he's 28. He's also been doing it since he was like 16. And then
so you're the new one.
I'm the odd man out. I'm the new guy. And I don't even focus on it, right? I'm the host of the show. I'm focused on the content. I'm focused on building out more content, narrative, filmmaking,
producing.
content. Yeah, I'm a radio guy is what I am. I'm a filmmaker and a radio guy. I'm not like the guy that's going to be like, yo, I took a 10x leverage long on Ethereum. Like, I'm about to be rich. Like, no, I've never done that. That just sounds like gambling to me. But I'm surrounded by people that can do that. So that works for the morning show. But that doesn't mean when we roll out narrative filmmaking that they're going to be good actors, right? So you got to be like evolving in whatever you're doing.
So how do you think filmmaking is going into Web3? Like tell me a little bit about the filmmaking side, and like, because there's not much going on in Web3 with filmmaking.
Correct. There's not a lot with filmmaking. There's not a lot with music yet. You're seeing music really try to break through. Yeah. I don't think that you're seeing that push on filmmaking yet.
I don't see anything.
Probably in the next 2 years, I think that wave will come around. Once music breaks even further, that's when you'll see the filmmaking stuff push through. And my answer is, I don't think anybody knows how Web3 is going to disrupt filmmaking or any other industry, but we do know that it's going to disrupt every industry.
Yeah.
So one thing I could think about is like raising money for a film through Web3 is way easier than not. I think the interesting thing will actually, rather than like an individual film or film project or filmmaker, a platform that disrupts the process, that like cuts out the middlemen and allows the kind of cream to the rise to the top. I don't want to say a competitor to YouTube, but like a competitor to maybe Vimeo would be like that's the one, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like something that just takes Vimeo and says you're irrelevant, because Vimeo's like not that relevant now.
I haven't used Vimeo in a very long time.
But people do, like it exists, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a Web3 version of Vimeo that has some sort of incentive to use, that incorporates blockchain technology and makes some sort of process easier, probably fundraising. It's like a combination of Vimeo and Patreon, and it just is better, is what I think will happen.
What do you think the like difficulties of like making that transition would be?
I think it's adoption by the people that are the players in that game, right?
Like, what does it take to onboard, like, people in film?
Yeah, so one thing I want to say first is my number one goal when I make all my content in NFTs, no matter what the content is to entertain rather than educate. My number two goal is to educate, but number one is to entertain. And I know that there's other people in the space that are doing incredible work. I think of Zeneca right away, who owns our NFT. We own his. He's in our community. He's a badass. He said his number one goal is to educate. That's why he has Zen Academy. And I respect that so much. It is a slightly different goal from ours, which is number one, to entertain.
And that's why you're a frog?
That's why I'm a frog. Yeah. We'll get to that one. But I think to onboard, you do have to educate in a way that's simple and in a way that allows the person to consume the information. So they have to like be able to listen to it or they have to be able to watch it. So that's where the entertainment part comes in. But I think the biggest thing is to like actually provide a real foundation, because so many people just read headlines about NFTs.
Yeah.
And what do the headlines say? NFTs are bad. Yeah, they're dead. They're
Rug
a scam.
pull.
They're bad for the environment. They're this, that, and the
yeah.
other thing. So
Yeah. Okay. So that I mean, yeah, understandable. But like marketing and branding, like you're good at that. You're good at that. In
I'm
Web3.
okay at it now.
You have 60,000 on Twitter,
Yep.
right? And
Just okay.
Okay, yeah, it's just okay.
But that's
okay.
the only.
Listen, I've been on Twitter since 2017, and I have like 700 followers on Twitter. And I grew my following on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, but on Twitter it is totally different.
Yeah.
So how did you like start and like market yourself and brand yourself to build that platform?
Yeah, so Twitter is its own beast. Well, all the social media platforms are their own beasts. What we're good at and what I'm good at is Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah.
But then Instagram, I don't know what to do on Instagram at all. And I know that, like, I don't know how to grow an Instagram audience. And
Yeah.
I know it's important to. I mean, Facebook renamed the damn company to Meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
crazy.
if you're sleeping on Instagram for NFTs, you're crazy. And
Yeah.
if you already have a big following on Instagram, then you have a leg up. Like, Farouk, for example. Farouk has like 300,000 Instagram followers. So it's like, all right, well, he's in a good spot. You know,
Yeah,
that's pretty good. And I'm over here with like barely any. And I'm like, I need to figure out how to ramp that up,
I think Instagram is like your verification of like, who you are in the industry. And no one's going, like in social media world, no one's going to your Twitter.
In the Web3, in the Web2 world.
In the Web2 world, it's all.
And Twitter's going to zero, it looks like. I mean, I'm pretty opinionated about that. I mean,
Yeah,
Twitter.
so what do you think? What is your thoughts on Twitter?
My thoughts are it is where NFTs live in a really big way right now, okay? And I don't think that that'll be the case. Well, I know it won't be the case forever because blockchain Web3 is just going to penetrate everything. And so unless Twitter somehow flips Instagram and flips these other platforms, it won't live on Twitter forever, right? But for right now, it really, really lives on Twitter. I can't get people that follow me on Twitter to subscribe to the YouTube. You know what I mean? Like,
Why do you think why?
Interesting.
they don't leave Twitter. And like, you'll be like, have you seen this? People don't even know that we have a YouTube. And I tweet about it like on a weekly basis. And I make jokes about it. I'm like, I know you never leave Twitter. Here's the YouTube.
I just saw a tweet from you that said that. I literally say that. So that's interesting because I started on TikTok and then grew my TikTok and then went to YouTube, went to Instagram. So I mean the conversion is not like 100%, but it at least converted over a little bit. So I mean, what are you going to do about that? I think that's a problem because you have this big platform on Twitter and the big following and on your show as well and stuff. How are you going to get people over to other platforms?
Yeah, well, we're doing pretty good on YouTube. We have the biggest NFT podcast on YouTube. There are other YouTube channels that are bigger overall. They make kind of YouTube native content, like Giancarlo buys tokens. I've seen NFT Now really ramp up their YouTube presence. They're doing better there now too. But we're the biggest like podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that direction we're going on YouTube. And we have a TikTok. We're not like elite at TikTok like you are, but we're not.
I checked out Nick's TikTok. He had like 2 posts, or no. He had like maybe 10 or 15 or something. But he said he was struggling on TikTok, trying to.
He doesn't do anything on TikTok.
He told me he doesn't even post.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything
someone
on
else
TikTok.
post.
But
so
we have like a brand. No, I don't have a personal TikTok, but we have a brand account that has something like maybe 6,000 or 7,000 followers, and like it's not zero. It's our third best platform, I guess you could say. So are we destroying it? No, but like our editors are doing a good job, and we'll probably move towards actually bringing on TikTok native talent, someone with a background like yours, and say, here's our brand, get familiar with it, and let's figure out how to make TikTok native content.
Yeah, that's what a lot of companies are doing. In the last like year and a half, I've realized that a lot of companies are doing that. There's a place on Melrose, a shoe company, and they hired this like TikToker to go make content to be the face of their brand. brand
Yep.
to build it, and that's who everyone knows.
Yep.
And so that's like
It's
strategy.
a thing.
It's a thing.
What are you going to do instead? You're not going to hire like some social media corporate team.
Why would you hire, this team or company to like grow your following, grow your brand, when literally you have a TikToker that maybe has a couple million and they know what the hell they're talking about. Exactly. They're on the platform. They are already in the shoes of that person. So these companies who like, do they have millions of followers on Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff? No, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Exactly. I've seen so many companies like come in and be like, do this idea on TikTok, it would work, and follow this trend, or and I'm like, dude, you haven't even grown anybody. What are you talking about?
That's the thing.
You call yourself a marketing company, but like literally you haven't grown anyone and don't know what you're talking about. If I see you put yourself in the shoes of a TikToker, you're like, I would love to see where you're gonna go, and prove me wrong.
Right.
And I think it's important to like have your unique niche. And I think that you've done such a great job doing that. And I know you shared that you started with a YouTube channel. Yep. And it wasn't really going as successfully.
Yeah, I think I've like to this day there's like 700 subscribers on that thing or something, so. But,
it's just so interesting how like you started at YouTube, it wasn't going that well, and then you had that aha moment where you're like, it has to be live.
That was a big moment, right? And then another really important thing was I knew that I had to be on a team if I wanted to stick around, because I had experienced this thing before where you're on an island, so to speak, and especially when you're in a new space. And again, I'm not one of these crypto guys from like 2016, 2017 that knows, the ins and outs of the game and already has a network. At least you're being honest,
because some people just... I got in Bitcoin in 2014. Like, at least you're being honest, because there's so many people who are like that.
And I feel like those people, what they mean is like one of their friends called them and said, you got to buy Bitcoin. They bought the top, took a loss, and they're like, I was in Bitcoin in 2017. There's a difference between that and someone that was literally in Discord. I didn't know what Discord was until 2021.
I didn't know what Discord was until a year ago.
Exactly. I had no idea. And even like a month into NFTs, I didn't like have I didn't know about Discord, right? So I knew I had to be on a team, and so I saw these guys say that they wanted someone to write artist interviews. They wanted to do written artist interviews, and so I just immediately responded to them, and I sent them a video interview that I did with a nifty gateway artist named Jonathan Thunder, really dope Native American artist, and that was the only artist interview I'd done at that time. I was maybe 5 weeks into making content. He was the only one I did. I was so nervous for that first interview, like so nervous. I was like, is this dude gonna drop a bunch of art stuff that I don't know about? Like, am I gonna look like an idiot? But the artist Jonathan really liked the interview. We had a good relationship after that, and the guys that I sent it to really liked it. And that was when I started making YouTube content with them. That was a brand called Nifty Culture. And that was the 6 months from like April 2021 until I started working with Nick. And we got that YouTube channel off the ground, got it up to about 250,000 views, which at that time was a lot for me.
That is.
Really?
Yeah, that was a lot for me at that time. And that was the first kind of success. And that's also what inspired Nick, for example, who's a successful person in his own right already, to work with me. He saw like the level of output I was putting on doing live streams, which is what Gummy just alluded to.
By the way, for everyone that doesn't know, in Web3, everybody goes by this PFP. You could be a frog, you could be a fucking bored ape, and everybody knows you by that. And some are anonymous, some are not. Yep. But tell me, like, where did this frog come from? Tell me.
Yeah. So, I didn't have an NFT profile picture the way a lot of people did. I started buying NFTs on the platform Nifty Gateway, which is an art-focused platform. And I bought early enough that I could have made money if I had sold going into the kind of the top that happened in March 2021. But I didn't. I held the assets thinking they were just going to keep going up. And the bubble burst really bad, right? So I just got wrecked. The thing that happened right after that was Bored Ape Yacht Club came out, right? So I was totally in a position to buy.
You just weren't friends. You weren't close with Nick, and so you didn't get a Bored Ape like him.
Yeah, and I was being sheepish about deploying capital at that time. So that whole time, my profile picture was like a sketch of a character that I had made years before, like during the directing period of my life, and that was what I was repping, And then when Rare Pepe Pepes, which the frog character is Pepe the Frog.
And the memes.
The memes, yeah. When they're OG, like historical NFTs from 2016 to 2018 that are built on Bitcoin. And obviously I'm a big time Bitcoiner. And I just thought they were so funny. You know, there was one rare Pepe that was like Jean Pepe Basquiat. And it's like an iconic Basquiat thing, only with the Pepe in there.
Yeah, so tell me about the painting in your mom's house.
Oh, sure. And I'll talk about that. That's hilarious. Did Nick bring that up?
I don't know, you know.
Okay. Well,
we did our research.
Yeah, we did our research.
I can tell. Well, anyway, just to wrap it up on that, you know, I was talking about rare Pepes on the show and getting all excited about it. And one of the like 6 people that listened to my very first channel and then followed me to the second channel and then followed me, you know, to the channel with Nick, an artist named XP said, I'm going to make you a Pepe. And I was like, okay, cool. And he's like, no, I'm serious. And he made it for me with the hat and the headphones and the mic and the beard and all that, right? And the sweatshirt. And
that's sick, though.
That became the PFP, and now it's kind of become the brand, and he is our in-house artist. So, you know, he's on the payroll. He works with us now, makes all of our YouTube thumbnails, does all my personal branding. He's the best. The painting. You want to talk about the painting?
Yeah. Let's dive into this. So Nick told me, Nick, it was Nick. Surprise. Nick told me about this painting that you have in your, I think he said it's Mario?
His name is Mario Skifano. Yeah, I mean, look.
You have to roll your R's.
He said that you talk about it a lot in the show.
I'm curious, is that all he said about it? Was there any context?
I don't know. Maybe
you tell us.
You tell us.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because, you know, so Skifano was like an important postmodern Italian artist, and my mom has like one of his original paintings. The reason I bring it up, though, is because she has a Polaroid picture that came with it that is a Polaroid of the painting, and Mario Skifano himself signed the back of the Polaroid. So that, well, that's kind of, or at the front of the Polaroid.
Just flex on us.
And what that is a token of authenticity saying this is a legit Skifano because that's his signature on the Polaroid, boom, you know? And all that is a physical old school NFT is what that is.
Right.
And
100%.
Yeah. And there's so much fraud and theft and issues in the traditional art market. When you buy like a Modigliani painting or you buy like a Basquiat painting, I mean, Basquiat, it's pretty obvious at this point because he was more recent, but the older artists, there's a lot of issues with fraud, and token of authenticity is a really valuable thing. And there's no better way to do token of authenticity from a technological perspective than NFTs and blockchain technology. So to me, that Polaroid picture is the NFT before the NFT, like before the technology came up, and that's why I bring it up. Nick probably told you about it because I've said that like 5 times and people make jokes about it. They call me like Pio, my mom has a painting, Vincenzo, and stuff like that. So yeah.
I feel like everyone jokes around with you.
We have a fun brand, man. I was just saying to you guys off air, like when people make jokes and like, you know, people were saying that.
Yeah, we posted something on Twitter and everyone was saying that he has
like
underwear
boxers,
on.
People were saying I'm in my underwear. Like, that's funny. We appreciate that. Yeah. Me and Nick will joke that the things we don't like is when people are just like, yo, you fucking suck. I'm like, I don't really know where the joke is there.
Yeah. I mean, you guys been nonstop for a year.
Yep.
Every morning, like doing the #1 morning show. That's like not easy, and that pressure. So how do you balance, you know, your work life and your mental health?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Monday through Friday, I literally work from when I wake up in the morning until I go to bed at night. The exceptions to that are when I walk my dog Sapphire, who you guys met earlier today. And I go to the gym, and it's really important to me to get that fitness in. I hit the sauna. Like, I'm really, really big on that. I'd say the hardest part of the past year for me mental health wise was I ruptured my Achilles playing basketball in January. So then I couldn't go to the gym and do stuff like that. So that made it really, really hard. And at that time, I hadn't quit my day job yet. And so I was doing the day job and, you know, all the stuff that we're doing in Web3, and I couldn't like move around very well. So that was a challenge, but that didn't last too long before I was moving around again, back to working out. So that was good. As far as mental health, like, look, I've always been like a working type of person. I've always been focused on my work. And now that like I'm doing work that's fulfilling and I'm building something, like all my energy is going towards something that I'm building, that's like big time fulfillment for me. I'd say, you know, weekends, hanging out with friends, you know, being around good people, unplugging from technology and stuff like that. That's the best thing. And I think that introducing some travel in the next like year and stuff like that, whether it's for work, for personal, or both, will be good for that too. But I'd be lying if I said that, you know, we're not putting in a ridiculous amount of work and I'm not working from when I wake up until I go to bed.
How many hours do you think you work a week?
I mean, it's hard to say. I'm just not exact. Like, I wake up at like 8.
Would you say
You're 8? Like, I work every weekend moment.
Like 80, 100?
It's hard to quantify. Like, I was at a conference at VCon, and we were backstage before Nick went to do his speech or whatever you call it, his speaking
You were
game.
at VCon?
Yeah.
Wow, I was
were you there too?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know each other yet. But
that's crazy.
Next time. And I was talking to somebody who is like a big figure in the Web2 world, and he's in Web3, blah blah blah. And we were just chopping it up, like just chatting backstage. And I was like, "How's it going?" He's like, "Working 100-hour weeks, blah blah blah." And which is crazy. But in my head, I was like, is this part of that 100 hours? Are we working right now? Because I'm like, this doesn't feel like we're just like hanging out backstage, like literally drinking alcohol. So it's like, if this is part of the 100 hours, then I'm putting in 100 hours too. So it's not all like back-breaking work. The biggest thing is like the fact that we do so much content, because I host the morning show, so there's no moments off for me. I have to be dialed in the whole time, especially if there's a sponsor, right? Someone paid for the spot, so I can't be not totally dialed in during that. And then the YouTube shows, like, I kind of host those in a way too, and I always try to give those my all.
The YouTube show is how many? One time a week?
No, we do 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Wait, you're hosting the YouTube shows as well?
I mean, I kind of, like, it's me, Nick, and Kix.
So you just enjoy talking 24/7
and getting paid for it.
Yeah, wow.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, like, when the content is like mentally draining, like I find myself getting really hungry after the content sessions, and I think they say that like using your brain, like it burns calories.
Huge
or whatever.
energy
Like I'm like always hungry after the content, so I think that's an indicator. Yeah.
Wait. You burn calories when?
Yeah, when you talk, when you use your brain.
Really?
Yep.
Is that
Especially
why
carbs.
I live streamed like 2 weeks ago for 110 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, and so I was wondering why I was like hella hungry, then like nonstop. I'm not even working out. I'm not working out at all. So wow, that's interesting.
Your brain consumes a ton of energy.
I mean, I've been a big sports fan my whole life, and there's a cool podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, like former NBA players, and I distinctly remember one quote. Ever since I heard it, I can't forget it. Matt Barnes said that he gave every ounce of his energy as a player, like he put it all out there with his body and pushed his body to the absolute limit as a player, which, if you know basketball, 82 games a year, I popped my Achilles playing hoop. I don't know how these guys do it into their late 30s. I have no idea how they do it. I think he played into his late 30s, but then he said the mental exhaustion that he gets after a day of podcasting is a totally different thing, and it's just as much. He says that he passes out hard after all.
Really?
Yeah, man, because it's tiring. I mean, you and me are probably used to it, but
I've been just used to like talking forever. Like I could talk forever and ever and ever. So I mean, someone that's starting out definitely.
Yeah, and didn't have a background, right? He spent the whole first 38 years of his life hooping, physical exertion, right? Then all of a sudden you switch to like doing interviews, doing podcasts, blah, blah, blah. I bet it puts you out like a light like that. But I mean, I feel like we experienced that exhaustion too, but maybe we had a kind of cleaner ramp up,
Yeah. Do you have like a big challenge that you faced throughout this 2-year process in the Web3?
Yeah, man, I feel like a few, like, there was a period when I was
it couldn't have just, you start and then boom. Like nothing is easy. Nothing start like you got to put the hours in. You got to show up every day. Like you're showing up for a year on your show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that
and
is
6
Monday
months
through
before
Friday.
that.
Monday through Friday. Like that's consistency.
And on YouTube.
And so you're like, that's a lot of commitment. Like that's tons of a commitment. So what was like? I'm sure like starting the show. It wasn't just like that. So like were there doubts of like, okay, you know, maybe this is not working, maybe we need to transition to something else? Like, what was going through your mind starting this show?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a few big challenge moments. The first big challenge was doing that very first YouTube video when I didn't know that much about NFTs, and I'd already had like previous things, like, you know, in the years where I had like a day job, I was like, I'm making cooking videos.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I was like, I'm gonna make cooking videos, right? Because I was like,
so you were just like, you know, let me just figure something out and make some content. So and it was just like, you know how to cook. Okay, bam, I'm making some
I'm going to make like hip hop style cooking videos, right? And I never actually dropped one. I would keep shooting, I'd edit, and it was never good enough, so I never put it out. And so I was like, yo, you got to like actually put stuff out this time, right? And even though I didn't know a lot about NFTs, getting that first one out was a big deal. Then the first one came out, and I was like, I kind of like this, and I did like a bunch, but then I found myself starting to slow down. That was when I joined that team, NFT Culture, and we started rocking. So it's like, okay, cool. That was kind of the first challenge overcome. At the end of you know, that kind of run, before I linked with Nick, there was the challenge of like, well, what am I going to do now if I don't work with these guys anymore? How's it going to go? And then I worked with Nick, and it's like, okay, cool. Then you just face individual challenges where you're like, oh, I don't know enough about this subject, or I'm not doing a good job here, like skill set development things, and also systems and, you know, the entrepreneurship challenges, you know, presenting to VCs when you don't have a background doing that, and, you know, everything, inspiring people to give you money, like all these different things, leading a community, managing people and making good hires, making bad hires. There's all sorts of challenges that come along with it.
Yeah, I mean, me starting social media, holy crap, it was such a mental battle. I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and I was doing construction, and I also was doing social media all at the same time. Damn. So it was like mentally draining, and like I was trying to do this new thing, and I was like, damn, I really want this to work because this is what makes me happy. And I'm sure like this was like something that was like, wow, I'm gonna wake up and I feel happy to go and do it. Like there's a lot of people that, you know, they wake up every morning, they're miserable about like where they have to go, their job or like whatever their profession is, they're miserable. And I didn't want to be miserable anymore.
Same.
And so like, so I just was like, I'm going to make it work. I don't care what it takes. Yep. I don't care what I have to learn. Like, I want to be consistent and keep going and going and going, and I will make it happen. So, like, you know, the day I just quit my job at Dunkin' Donuts, like, I was like, okay, I quit that job. And then the day that I quit my career job, like construction, I was driving home that night, and I was like, what the heck am I doing? I have, like, 50,000 followers on TikTok. Like, what in the world? And I was live streaming. I was making maybe like $50 a week on live stream. Like,
okay, not much.
And that was the only income I was getting from social media. And so I was just driving home, and I was like, is this really where I'm gonna go in life? Like, if I'm making this decision now, then I'm going all in. Yeah. And I have to make it work because I don't have a plan B now. Yep. There is no plan B. I just quit everything. And then everybody, you know, it was like, you're stupid, da-da-da-da-da. Of course. You know, how it really goes when you do something different in life. Yep. No surprise. And
we all know that.
And so, like, I don't know, like, did people backlash on you and, like, trying to get into Web3? Because even for me, like, when I got into this, like, I'm in social media world. And so, like, transitioning to Web3, people were, like, confused on, like, wait, what? Why are you like going into what like this NFT crypto? Because it was so negative, and people are still making it negative to this day, you know. So it's just like you just have to prove people wrong on like. It's not just I'm here for money. I'm here for, you know, being famous. So, like I'm here to build, create communities, and impact. So like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about a few things there. You talked about full immersion, and I believe that complete immersion into whatever you're doing is like so important. You don't have the headspace when you have the Dunkin' Donuts job, when you have the construction job, even if it doesn't take a lot of time. Anything that you know takes that mental energy is going to take away from the work that you really want to focus on. I think I experienced what you were talking about, Chris, with like people having that backlash actually from the music video days, right? Because people were like, what do you mean you're going to go be a music video director? Right. And especially that was like the early, how I was 20 to 25. And so I'm 32 now. So that's like, 12 years ago. Yeah. It's a different social media climate. TikTok doesn't exist, right? So one less platform. Instagram, like I remember when I made my Instagram for my like music video directing brand, None of my classmates in college had Instagram yet. It like wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, same for me is when I was starting TikTok, no one had TikTok. No one was on TikTok. They're just like, what the hell are you doing?
People think you're weird, right? With the Web3 thing, I was working at a tech company. I was a big Web2 tech company. And when I quit that job, I was so deep into Web3 at that point. I probably had like 30 or 40,000 followers on Twitter, and we were making sponsorship money, and we had sold 1.7 million bucks in NFTs. Nobody thought it was that weird when I quit the job then. If anything, people yelled at me. They were like, "You were supposed to quit a while ago."
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was a little different. Yeah.
Do you plan on because on TikTok? So do you plan on going big on TikTok?
Yes, we plan on going big everywhere with content. The issue we have right now is that we don't have enough manpower so that me and Nick can just focus on content. Yeah. Whether that means it's content that me and Nick are in front of the camera making, or if it means that we're going to hire some big time talent to help us out. Yeah. And the answer is probably both. Yeah. I don't think anybody wants me and Nick to not make content anymore. They would be probably pretty confused by that. But if you look at media companies like Barstool Sports, for example, I don't consume their content, but I look at their structure as a very comparable structure for a modern media company. And that's another one where people have polarizing opinions about it. But what do you have? You have one controversial, outspoken leader, but then there's so many people that work under him and so many brands under him that it's like this big machine that even if
Gary Vee.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah, I mean, Barstool Sports, I feel like even more than Gary Vee, because the Gary Vee monster, I feel like he has a different approach. But Gary Vee is absolutely another comparison to make. So we need to basically automate everything around us and have a rock star team all the way around, so that we have the headspace to just focus on content. And that's when I think that we'll really hit it out of the park with content.
Scale.
Yeah, scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. And are you looking forward to being the number fucking one in YouTube and Twitter in 5 years or whatever?
I mean, you guys did it in Twitter Spaces.
You did it in Twitter.
You can do it in all the other platforms.
You did it in Twitter. You did it in Twitter. You did it in YouTube. Yep. It's time for TikTok.
All right, I'm gonna have to follow up with you on this to figure out how to optimize this. We're about to have a TikTok consulting call.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
There we go.
TikTok is everybody doesn't know the insides on TikTok, and
I definitely don't.
Yeah, and these things are I already know. So and it takes me time to think people don't really know about how TikTok works, the functionality. People don't really know, and I think everybody knows. And so when I explain,
but you're deeper than 99.9% of people on TikTok.
Yeah, and you're deeper than 99.9% of people on Twitter.
NFTs, so sure, yeah,
and
Twitter.
NFTs. And so I think there's always space to learn, to grow. I'm still new in the space, and I'm loving it right now. We started this podcast because I want to learn, I want to grow, and I don't know everything, and I feel like people in Web3 and Web2 could collaborate.
Hell yeah. I mean, you got Nick on the show earlier. I know you had Medved on already, Matt from NFT Now. You guys are getting kick-ass guests. You're off to a good start. Crushing it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Just inviting friends.
It's just inviting friends. But, what in regards to the future?
Yep.
Where do you see NFTs in the future, in 1 year to 5 years? Yep. Where do you see it going?
So my fundamental belief is that blockchain technology, the technology that NFTs are built on, is an improvement on the internet. And so the next iteration of the internet, if you watch that show Silicon Valley, they had that whole season. They had the season where they were building a new internet, right? I believe that this is that. And so because of that thesis, my belief is that NFTs, blockchain technology is going to disrupt every single industry, every kind of part of our lives, so to speak, the way that the internet did. And so I don't mean that you're going to eat an NFT. I don't mean like that, or you're going to exercise with an NFT. But what I mean is just like how you don't go through a travel agent anymore to book a trip. And if Gummy books a trip to Thailand or something, I don't follow up and go, did you book it on the internet? No, everybody knows that she went online and she booked the trip. Yep. I think it's going to be the same thing when you buy a house, when you buy a car. You know, the deed will just be transferred to you in a digital way, because why wouldn't it be?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't it be? And that this technology is the technology that happens. So I think that adoption doesn't really look like, you know, your mom buying a monkey picture. I think it looks like
you're getting a bottle of wine, knowing that it is authenticated on the blockchain.
Sure, if you're buying fancy wine, sure. Maybe not the wine I'm buying for $20. You know what I mean? Maybe not that. But when you get a college diploma, you know, yeah, cool. You'll get that one that you can frame,
right?
But you'll also get the actual one where if somebody wants to verify your college diploma, rather than having you take a picture of the thing and send it to them, there'll just be some sort of online system that does it lickety split like that. And that's not going to happen next year. It maybe won't happen in 5 years, but it's going to happen.
I think that's going to be.
Yeah.
But like, it won't feel that way because it's just going to gradually happen.
Yeah.
We have a GPS, like, dude, my phone in my pocket is a GPS, a music player, like a camera, a full-on like video creation studio, podcasting studio. But we don't go like, holy shit, like that's so crazy, because it happens a little bit at a time. Yeah. And then before you know it.
In 2005, that would be like, if someone walk in your place and be like, and if even like this, it'd be like, whoa, what the hell?
Straight. I didn't have texting in 2005. Like, I didn't get texting until I was in college. You know, I was 18 years old when I had texting, you know? And so it really is crazy how fast this stuff moves. And now we have TVs in our pocket, and we're going to soon have VR goggles that are like basically the norm in business meetings.
But do you think that, I think that AR is going to take over and not VR.
Huge.
Both probably, right?
VR is huge right now, but AR is not adopted yet.
And when AR comes, that's actually going to probably penetrate like every part of our lives, where you're just wearing glasses, and I don't know. It's wild stuff to think about.
Have you tried AR glasses on?
I don't think I have. No, I've done VR, not AR.
Holy crap.
Is it crazy?
Holy crap.
It's amazing.
It's insane. It doesn't even feel real.
Yeah, so Pio, your passion, you know, you are a creative at heart.
Yeah.
And so in the Web3 space, what can you do that you couldn't have done Web 2 otherwise?
I couldn't have like a radio show that I'm able to, you know, we're going to be able to do our stuff for like 3 years based on our current, you know, like runway as a business, even if we never made another dollar, right? So, and you know, you hope that you're going to keep making money, right? So it's like, we have sponsors booked out for the next like 5 weeks. Like, you know, we have revenue coming in, upcoming NFT drops. So we'll realistically be able to do this no matter what for like 5 years plus. I wouldn't be able to be like a radio host in Web 2. I'd have to work for somebody. It'd be a job.
Is there someone in the live streaming industry that you look up to?
Live streaming specifically.
Joe Rogan.
I mean, sure, yeah. Podcasters, you know, all the big radio guys. Yeah. Joe Rogan, Howard Stern, you know, Jim Norton, all those kind of like radio OGs. And then creative people from different genres like filmmakers, musicians. You know,
who's your favorite filmmaker?
I got a lot. I mean, Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson, Wes Anderson, Stanley Kubrick, Martin Scorsese, all the OGs. New guys, Ari Aster is my absolute favorite. He's a new guy? He's a new guy. He did horror movies. You guys are going to think I'm a psycho here. But he did
I hate horror.
Midsommar, which is like the most messed up movie ever, but it's like unbelievable, and Hereditary. And then there's a French director. I can't remember his name, but he made this show called Marianne that's incredible. Saw a great movie a few days ago by a guy named Edgar Wright called Last Night in Soho. That's a really good one. So there's some really dope filmmakers coming up right now that are young, and I think that Web3 will probably lead to some like crazy talent developing on that front, because the studio system, it's just not going to stick around. Like gatekeeping, like legit gatekeeping. People throw around the word gatekeeping. That's like legit gatekeeping, right? That doesn't lead to like bursts of explosive progression in terms of creativity. So I think that we're going to see like a blow off top in creativity in the near future.
Wow, cool. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you so much.
You're doing all this crazy stuff in Web3, and this is the beginning. Like, this is the beginning
100%
of your career.
We're early.
In Web3. And we're all early, and we're still learning. Everyone is trying to build, you know. Right now is the best time. And that's what we're doing. That's all we can do. So, you know, I'm looking forward to where you go. And
thank you, man.
In the next few years, I think you're going to go big.
And you're an inspiration to show everyone that you can be a creative and really thrive in the space.
Yeah. Thank you, Gummy. Well, I'm looking forward to watching you guys thrive with this podcast and everything that you're doing. TikTok action, you know, all your stuff.
Twitter Spaces.
Twitter Spaces, everything.
Let's go.
Well, it's been real. Thank you so much. Mango out.
Gummy out.
Pio out.
Peace.
See you guys.